We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise, we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
And welcome, everybody, to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all that is awesome, Derek. How the fuck are you doing today on this beautiful Thursday? Holy shit, it is April. What the hell is going on? It just felt like January yesterday. Oh, wait, I know why. Because we're still having a shit time and a shit, year, and we're just flying by and doing absolutely nothing with it. So that's life. But anyway, we are here today to have a little fun, talk more music, and do a bunch of cool shit. Because today, I have a guest on with me that formed his band back in 1994, almost 30 years ago. And then in 2002, really started to kick off with one of their biggest singles of all time, One More Minute, and has just continued to strive on since then. Had a few change-ups as far as the band goes, but we'll get into all that and a bunch of other stuff here shortly. But they have a new single out with a new lyric video to go along with that, and we'll talk about that. So you know what? Let's just get right into it because I am ready to talk to this guy. So please, without any further ado, please welcome the lead singer of Authority fucking Zero, Jason Devour. What is going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for asking. I'm just keeping busy as I can be, How about you?
Same. I'm in my studio, recording shit every day. But I record this and you record the stuff that I like to talk about. So it works out great either way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much it, man. Same here. Just been writing along. We recorded that new album, like you said, and it's been writing some other material just to keep myself occupied and watering my lawn.
Yeah.
So.
So I was first introduced to you, just about 20 years ago when One More Minute came out. And let me tell you what, man,
yeah.
I fucking rocked that song so fucking hard, for the longest time. I still rock it to this day because it's just one of the greatest songs of the 2000s.
Thanks.
It really was. But the sad thing about it was, in my opinion, y'all didn't get the recognition that y'all deserved. You know what I mean? Because
Thanks, man.
You guys got lumped into a bunch of different subgenres that was real, in my opinion, wasn't really willing to accept you in that subgenre. And we're skate punk. Oh, no, they're not skate punk. Oh no, they're ska. Oh no, they're not ska. They're this. And it just didn't seem to help you any guys. And I think that kind of sucked on my end.
Yeah, it did happen a lot, man. It still happens to this day, to be honest with you. Even 27 years later, it's funny because we did take the chance of just doing what we wanted to do and explore all the music that we all just really enjoyed individually as a collective. That it didn't really put us in any set category. So it wasn't even in a good way. Like you say, it was kind of just like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Like, who the fuck are these guys, and what's the point? It's like after all this time, that's kind of what I've gathered from it. And like you say, it came out, the One More Minute was more of a reggae kind of song with a little bit of a heavier end of the chorus kind of thing. But the rest of the record was the complete opposite for the most part,
Yep.
So that's one thing that confused people a lot. And I think that was a chance we took, or I guess at the time even the label took, because, we just signed to Love Atlantic Records, and they felt that was the strongest song we had. And in all reality, when we first wrote that song, I was pretty much, to the guys in the band, I was like, this isn't fast enough. It's not a skate punk song. It's not a, heavy song. I can't. Basically, my thing was always, if I can skate to it, it's a good song. And to that, before I even wrote any words or melodies or anything to it, I wasn't vibing it. But as it came together, I tried to make it sound like something I would actually listen to myself. And so it got to that point, and then it became kind of a pop reggae song, in some regard. And I think they saw that in that as far as the single goes. And I'm very proud of it, for sure, absolutely. But it did confuse people quite a lot once they got the record, I think. And then
Yeah.
they didn't really know what to make of us. And the punk scene too is like, like I say, the punk scene, especially at the time, it's changed since then. But they saw us as like a ska reggae band, and that was it, because of that song, basically, you know. So it did categorize us, but decategorize us at the same time.
Yeah, because and that's why I brought it up, because like I remember when it hit, I bought the album, and a bunch of my friends did as well. And I was like the one lone, you know, metal guy back then, and everybody else listened to, you know, emo or, you know, ska and this and that. And then, you know, a lot of my friends who were real big 311 fans went out and said, "Oh, these guys are fucking great," and then went and bought the album, and they were like, "Oh, wait,
what the fuck is this?"
They fucking you guys were the original clickbait back in 2002.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. No doubt, man.
But, you know, since that time, you guys have obviously grown as musicians. Obviously, I mean, 27 years, you know, 20 years since the, you know, the first big hit. But it's also at the same time, you are the only one left of the original band. And
I am.
You have had a bunch of lineup changes, including as recent as January.
Mm-hmm.
What has that transition been like for you? I mean, what have you felt like on your end as far as that kind of stuff goes?
It's been chaos, dude. Honestly, it's been a roller coaster of ups and downs and emotions. Honestly, it's especially when it first started happening back in 2008 is when shit started kind of going down. There was inner turmoil within a couple of guys in the group, the original guys, and it was in Colorado. I'll never forget when it happened. It became, you know, it went down to fisticuffs, and that was the first time that it happened, and it just was a shock because, you know, I was like, we're gonna grow old like Aerosmith together, all of us, you know, the four of us. And then before I knew it, before my eyes, this shit went down, and it became an ultimatum kind of situation. And it was kind of at that moment, you know, there was a lot of shit in the band already going on because we've been together for so long, like brothers on tour and stuff at that point. And you get pissed off at each other quite a lot with different opinions. But at this point, then I realized when I got the ultimatum, I stopped kind of giving a shit how to make everybody happy in a sense in the group to keep us together as a four-piece, you know, that we were. And it was more of a, well, you don't give a shit about how I feel, so I'm going to stop giving a fuck either way too, and just keep on driving this band until it's no longer, until it's, you know, until I'm just pretty much tired and not passionate about it anymore myself. So you guys go ahead and make up your minds what you want to do individually and who's coming, who's going in that point in time. And so the decision came down that night, and then ever since then it's been just crazy. You know, it was like that same exact night that happened. It was like a roadie on the road with this Josh Schneider. He played a little bit of bass, and so we're like, tomorrow we're gonna have a show tomorrow in fucking Kansas or something. I'm like, you have to learn these 7 songs, even like just simply because you're getting on that stage with us. And then he became the bass player for that tour. He fell in love in Florida with some lady, and then stopped paying attention to playing bass and started just getting fucked up on stage and like not playing the bass line to you. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, we've done all the hard work, we've done the legwork. You just need to practice and play the songs. And he's like, I know. And then he kept on just fucking off. And then I had to, you know, he's like one of the only guys in the group I've ever had to let go. Luckily, it was like early on enough to where I was like, dude, you're not pulling it, you know? And so I'm like, he's like, I know. I'm like, I got to let you go, bro. You know? And so from there, we actually, you know, we brought in other friends that were friends of the group back home and stuff too. We always wanted to try and keep it familiar with ourselves to where it wasn't like some weird, like we're hiring this random dude. And from there, you know, people came and went because they come to realize that it's not for them. It's not, you know, the road's not for them. It's not as easy as a lot of people might think, or as fun half the time. And it just kept on going on like that. And people would come in for a few years and they take off, and then bring somebody else in, and they'd find a replacement for them. And, you know, the game goes on. And we're about 20 people later. We've got a pretty solid lineup. As of January, like you say, our guitar player, Dan Aid, just before that, he left the band to pursue acting. He just didn't see himself doing this as a career. He's really big into acting. He's doing some stuff in Hollywood. So we were totally supportive of that and understood. And we now have a new guitar player. His name's Eric Walsh. He's comes from the band Port Habit out of California. And those guys are also, once again, old friends of ours from touring buddies back in the day. So he's all grown up now, and he's a shredder.
That's awesome. I mean,
long story short.
Yeah, I mean, so after... Go ahead.
I was gonna say that really is a short version.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's more to it than that. If you want to read more about it, go to Wikipedia. Uh, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, but you know, after the whole thing went down, and basically you were the last one left. Did you ever think about, changing the name, or did you just say, "Hey, I am," Authority Zero is not just me and a bunch of guys; it's bigger than that, or Authority Zero is me, and whatever is behind me doesn't really matter as long as we play the good music. I mean, did anything like that go on through your head, or what exactly went through your head when it finally came down to just you and three new guys?
I always told myself, and I always told the guys in the band, if it ever came down to it, where I was the last guy in the band, to just tell me to stop. Because I never wanted to be that, just the singer in the band, and there's these extra guys. And so with that, I also had to stop and realize that I'd also equally put as much work into this as everybody else had, if not more, throughout the years to try and keep it together, with all of the change ups and people's different opinions and feelings about how things were going and whatever, within the group. And I just came to realize, I'm like, I put 20 years of my life into this. I'm like, there's no reason for me, I don't think personally, because I haven't kicked anybody out. People left on their own accord kind of thing, because they were just older with kids or mortgages. And this is just what I've done my entire life, So I was like, I didn't feel any reason to take a step back and start from scratch completely again when we had such good momentum going. And it's been such a friendship with everybody that's been in the band. It's never was like a hired hand kind of thing or anything like that. It was always like, they're always part of the Zero Crew, as we call it. And so it's just a kind of big collective family that's kind of kept on rolling. And I mean, I never was like, I don't care who's behind me whatsoever. I was always, every time anybody comes in this band, I make sure that they feel completely welcome and that they feel like they are in the band. It's like down to like, ownership and all that stuff too, not just like a hired hand. Of course, there's like trial areas, for like a year trial just to make sure you're going to stick around. But after that, we've gone the route of part of the business owner, as it called, with Authority Zero LLC kind of stuff and so forth. So it just felt like a very positive thing. There was a moment there where I was about to rendezvous with something. I got asked to sing for Pennywise. They were doing the tryouts when Jim left the band, and Fletcher called me up and flew me out. And my understanding is that around that point in time, that it was down to myself and solely Eggless. And at the same time, that's when our band was almost the most crippled it had been in a long time. And so I was really fighting to try and keep it together and really trying to move forward and forge forward and like be the backbone of it and, get through the bullshit. Because again, we've been through so much and I didn't want to see it just fall apart and just be decrepit after all that time and that hard work for everybody. So when I went out there and tried out, I think that Fletcher kind of noticed that, because I wasn't like just hire me kind of thing, which is crazy because that's one of the bands I grew up on. And you think that I'd be like, fuck it, let's do this thing instead. But I was like so passionate about it still that I was like, if I do get the gig, I'm going to try and do both bands on top of that. So I'll never be home. Obviously, I'll be touring with both bands consistently, which would have in turn probably imploded me, But then got the call again later on, one more time to come out and try it again. And I was like, it doesn't happen twice in a lifetime. So I told the guys, I'm like, hey, I got the call again. This might be actually my second chance to try something cool. I hope you guys understand, like, dude, go. Because I think they were kind of fed up at the time too, because they knew we weren't really a strong group at that point in time. And so like, yeah, go do your thing, man. Do what you got to do. And, it was one of those things, Jim came back to the band, which is thank God, because he belongs in that band, So yeah. It all worked out. Everything worked out the way it's supposed to. But there was never a point in time where I felt like I was forcing this band in any way. It's just like, it's just me and some other guys. It's always been a family process.
And I like to hear that because, over the last few years, I've heard a lot of, kind of the opposite, the where they have a band name, but, the lead singer, the front man runs everything. And then there's a backup band behind them, for example, Ghost with Tobias Forge, that whole thing that happened a couple years back. And Ronnie Radke with Falling in Reverse. I mean, he's, profoundly known for saying, well, I am falling in reverse and they're just behind me. And while I respect that, at the same time, it's kind of like a slap in the face to the people behind you. So I'm glad that you have that mentality.
Yeah, that's something that never even crossed my mind, like I say, whatsoever. It was a matter of keeping it to where it was a big family kind of effort. And, it's like once you open that up too, and once you close that door, I guess, as far as like people that you're inviting into your group, you're gonna miss out a lot. You're gonna miss out a lot of opportunities as far as like their creative side. If you brought them into the group, they're obviously good and creative people as well. So it just kind of opens the door for more possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, that family mentality that you and the guys have, that really kind of proved true. If I'm not mistaken, in 2017, when the van incident happened, and you had to continue the tour using friends of mine, Counterpunch, their equipment for the rest of the tour. Cool.
Yeah, it was like day
guys.
2. It fucking sucked. Oh yeah, I love those guys, man. Those guys are great. No, that was crazy. Yeah, man. Our van got stolen day 2 of tour in Texas.
Yeah, it was Texas. Yeah.
San Antonio. Yeah, San Antonio. Yeah. Yeah, it was our fucking day off too. We parked it in this nice hotel room because our drummer Dally gets like discounts because he works at a piano bar, so he gets like DoubleTree and like Marriott hotel rooms for like Motel 6 prices. We're like, all right, we'll be fine. Park our van under a nice bright light, open parking lot. We think we're all right by the front door of the place. So us and the Counterpunch guys go to a GameWorks kind of place like across the street, just get some drinks and piss around. And then came back, and we thought that our guitar player Brandon had stayed behind, so we thought he might have just taken the van to do whatever. And so at this point, we're all fucking drunk, and we're like, now we're starting to trip out because we're like, our shit's gone and all this, and we think that we're going crazy. So we start like screaming at the front desk guy, thinking it's like an inside job, which we still think it probably was. The cops come, we're like, get the fuck out there and find our shit. Like this is, we had this full U.S. tour to go still. Like we had, like again, day 2 or 3. And so luckily, again, yeah, we found it the next morning. It was all gutted. It was like 15 miles down the road. All our shit was gone. It was just fucking horrible. But yeah, again, our boys Counterpunch stepped up and we played all their gear the entire tour. And everybody chipped in for like a GoFundMe. Our buddy Rob with Punk Rock Saves Lives at the time, it was Love, Hope, Strength, started a GoFundMe just for us. And people really showed up, man. It was amazing, the support we got from that whole deal. But it is a big family community out there, all the touring bands as well.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to, I don't even know how many bands in the last, year. And especially, now that you guys are quote unquote indie, that indie vibe that's out there is so family oriented. But once you're back on that label side, it's all about making the label money, and you don't care. They don't care about your friends. You try to, but then they're like, no. It's all about us. Pay attention to us. But once you're indie,
oh, absolutely,
it's all about the family. Doesn't matter what band you're out there with. Once you make a friend, it's like you're friends for life, and I love that about the indie community.
Yeah, me too, man. Honestly, it's been a saving grace, and it's also been just a cool thing to city to city, crash on their floors, it's hanging out. It's just great. I love it.
That's awesome. So now you got a new album coming out. You just released the first single off of it. And it's a banger. It's a good fucking tune. I listened to it like 3 or 4 times today. I was really, really impressed because I had forgotten that you guys were that skate punk sound as well, but also an eclectic mix of just all punk and rock. It's not, like you said, you can't genre you guys. It's just, you guys are just a rock band. I mean, there's no subgenre there. And I love that about you guys because it doesn't put you into a box. And the less of a box that you guys are in, the easier it is to have fans, especially nowadays. Back in 2002, it was a problem. But now, 20 years later, it's not so much anymore, because there's so many bands out there doing that, where you can listen to an album of 12 different subgenres from one band, and that is amazing to me. That it's so it's only been 20 years. That's not a long time in terms of music, and to have that type of progression lately is pretty cool.
Yeah, man, thanks.
So
it's pretty. I just understand how. I understand, I guess, but I couldn't play the same song on 10 records or 8 records, basically over and over and over again. It's like we get fucking bored. We do it for ourselves too, man. Because you get fucking bored. You don't want to be monotonous and stagnant, and you're like, it's just on repeat at that point, unless you try and change it up and at least get a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, even look at a band like Metallica. You know, they had their load and reload phase, which, everyone looks down upon. Or, Damage Incorporated from 2001, 2002, whatever it was. But then, anytime they play a song now while they're on tour from those albums, people are still rocking out to it just as hard as, Blackened or, One. They don't give a shit anymore. And I like that they've just like accepted the fact that bands progress and bands evolve, and they might go back to their original roots at one point in time, but at the same time they're still the same guys. They're just changing shit up a little bit to stay relevant. I mean, it's no offense to bands like Slayer, they're one of the greatest metal bands in the world, but they tried new metal, in their early 2000s, which didn't really work out for them. But then they went back to that same thrash style, and they've already just hung it up because they've had that same style for 30 years. And they were like, okay, and they weren't really progressing, and they kind of hung it up. Metallica, on the other hand, hasn't really, has changed all over the place, and they're still around. Another band, for nearly 30 years now as well, Avenged Sevenfold example. They've changed it up a lot, and they're still just as relevant as they were back when the White Album came out 15 years ago. It's and again, fans are more accepting of that. How do you feel about that now versus 20 years ago, like I was just saying?
Well, I think you're correct, man. I really do. I think you're right on the button with that one, because I mean, back then, again, it wasn't. I mean, a lot of times now, oddly, it's a lot about singles too that people hear. They don't, unfortunately, buy full records as much as they used to. So it's a matter of you're able, I guess, get away with it more in some bands, in some idea, because you're hearing one single at a time, one song at a time. You're not overwhelmed with everything at one time, to where it's confusing. To where I think that's where a lot of people got to at some point. I think was the dramatic change of things. But again, to me, that's exciting, listen to their songs, the idea of like, it goes from straight up thrash punk to all of a sudden a smooth, like Cocktail Hour piece. And then all of a sudden some weird, like Red Hot Chili Peppers moment. And then it's back to a punk song and hardcore, so I think I do agree with that, though. I don't know if it's a matter of the way that some of the bands have done it as far as like their approach to it or what, but I do think that people are seemingly more accepting, because times have changed in that short amount of time of 20 years. I agree that people have, I guess, open their eyes up a little more or something, or maybe things have just changed that dynamically in that much time, or maybe it's technology. I mean, I don't really have the answer for it, but I do think that it has opened up the possibilities of more of people being able to experiment and expand as musicians.
Yeah, one of the biggest examples that I could think of in the last year of that right there, that people changing it up and people being accepting of it, and especially in the rock community, because we're ruthless sometimes. The way the rock community has kind of accepted Machine Gun Kelly in the last year,
Oh, right. The turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, he released a pop punk album, and everyone, all the bands that I've been talking to have been like, yeah, it's fucking amazing. I'm like, wow, I have not expected that.
Yeah, no, I saw that turnaround too. I was like, who is this? Oh, it's Machine Gun Kelly. I'm like, that's Machine Gun Kelly? I'm like, that's not what I heard. But it's just interesting. Like, it was, people picked it up and accepted it and dug it probably more than some of the stuff before it seems.
Yeah, I mean, and the first time I heard it, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like Blink 182, a la 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I mean, hey, it's kind of cool.
Right.
Now, I mean, obviously,
Right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he did have Travis Barker playing drums, so that's kind of where the Blink 182 vibe came from. But whatever. But
no, absolutely no.
But either way,
it kind of gave it that vibe.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, the kind of acceptance that has changed, at least on the rock front. I remember 2 years ago when Post Malone did that song with Ozzy Osbourne. It was playing all over. Sirius XM Octane, the hard rock channel. And I'm like, oh shit, just because Ozzy's on it? And they're like, no, because fucking Post Malone's a metalhead. He just sings rap, and he's got Ozzy on there. Might as well give him the plug. I'm like, okay, so we're accepting Post Malone now. Okay, cool.
So he's in our class? All right, he's in our class.
He's in our class. All right, cool.
He's a cool kid in class. Yeah.
But, 20 years ago, that wouldn't have happened.
Post Malone. No, absolutely. I think so. I think you're right. mean, there's obviously the rap rock kind of stuff or whatever, but this is a different kind of monster that you're talking about too, the way that they collaborated.
Correct. And that's the thing. 20 years ago, if you came out as a rap rock band, people accepted that right away. But if you're bouncing all of a sudden through genres, people shat on you like 20 years ago. But now it's just like, hey, come on. We like the eclecticness. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of comes off, I guess, what you're saying is some people kind of see it as like just a confused artist. I mean, we've gotten what's it called? Personality disorder or something like that, like where you, even like even some of the producers are like, you guys got a personality disorder, dude. Like this song, because we do like one song and we do the next song, and they're like, what the fuck is this? Like, like, did you guys do your homework? This is some weird shit. Intentionally, but unintentionally at the same time.
I think in order to be a big rock artist these days, you need to have multiple personality disorder.
I think so too, man. You gotta break those fucking walls down a little bit and do something different and blow people's minds a little more and give them something they're not expecting.
Yeah, I mean, look at Corey Taylor. That
yeah,
fucking
right.
guy. I mean, Stone Sour, Slipknot, and now his own shit, and none of it sounds the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's like I do my solo acoustic stuff, which is like singer songwriter, like City and Color kind of sound and stuff. I have two Irish folk punk bands that sound nothing like Authority Zero, and Authority Zero, which sounds nothing like anything. So it's like it's just kind of all over the place, but it's a lot of fun, and it keeps it honest. And I think as long as you're keeping it honest, and you can hear that in the music, and people will accept that and embrace it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about the passion and the message. I definitely feel that these days. If people can, and that's why when I do these types of interviews, I don't like to focus too much on the music. I like to focus on the person behind the music or the band behind the music. And that's why I immediately jumped into, what we jumped into right off the bat with, the lineup changes. But because that's what I like to focus on, because it just makes more sense to me. But at the same time,
sure,
the music is where it's at. And when they know you have a passion for what you're doing and there's a message behind it as well, it just drives it home even more. I mean, even bands that are, absolutely hated, going back to what I was talking about earlier, Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse, that guy is universally he's like the new Nickelback. I mean, everyone loves to hate Ronnie Radke, but everyone loves his fucking music. I don't get it. I mean, I get it because I'm a fan, but I know he's a dickhead, but I know he's a dickhead with a reason. But at the same time, his music's really fucking good.
Perfect.
But, but at the same time, when you have that message, you kind of seem to overlook all the stupid stuff that they say in the background, or, just stuff that just doesn't make any sense. But when that message really hits home, it really hits home. Like for me, it was back in 2019, in December of 2019, when he released that song "Popular Monster" about mental health and all the demons that he was facing and stuff like that at the time. And that's what made me a fan of that band, because like, okay, cool, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about mental health awareness. I'm all about mental health and spreading that message through music and stuff like that. And he did that in such a graceful way, and I immediately became a fan. So at the end of the day, what is your message that you want to portray as, the front man, as the heart and soul of Authority Zero?
Since day one, honestly, man, if not 3/4 of the songs that I've written lyrically, they've all been kind of directed at myself, through the hardships, through drug addiction, through alcohol addiction, through like just life addiction in general. Like I'm kind of an extremist, to be honest with you, in any regard. It's like, if I'm drinking, I'm drinking. If I'm not, I'm completely not. It was the same with drugs back in the day when I was a kid. Just, cold turkey, smoking cigarettes, same thing. Anything in my life, if I'm going hard, I'm going hard. So with all that said, I guess the idea behind it would be that I would say throughout you'll hear the common thread of the message of positivity, I think, and like working through your hardships, and just the idea of never giving up on your dreams, on yourself. That there always is light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of how dim it might be or whatever. But it's always just a matter of picking yourself back up, picking your feet back up, as cheesy as it may sound, but it's all about a very positive, like you say, a positive mental state, trying to keep that as much as possible through all the bullshit. and try and focus on stay the path and stay the course, no matter what hurdles coming your way. Most of the songs start off with a, here's my shitty day, and then I try and always give it a turn and a switch at the end of it, just to be like, but there's also possibility through this bullshit that you've been working yourself through, and it might have happened. It probably did happen for a reason, and you're going to learn from it. So that's pretty much, I guess, the common thread of the last 8 albums we've done, and it's just kind of how I naturally write. Our song Revolution, it sounds like a giant political song. It's not. It's about personal revolution and making a change within yourself. If you want to do something different, if you want to see anything around you change, it's up to you to make that happen. It's not going to be done for you. And just really taking the reins in your life and taking control of any situation that you're not comfortable in, to put yourself into a place where you want to be.
That's awesome, bro. That really fucking is. So you guys just released Fire Off Another on the heels of last month's release, Ollie Ollie Oxen Free. When is the new album going to be dropping?
As it lies right now, June 18th is the dropping date. I'm pretty positive that's the date. It's kind of like our shows. Our shows keep getting pushed back, so I'm getting my shows confused with our actual album release dates and stuff. But June 18th is my last understanding.
So, are you guys looking at going back on the road now that things are starting to open back up? Have you guys started to plan anything?
Things are in the works. We were supposed to go to Europe this year again from last year for our 25-year anniversary, but that obviously didn't happen. And so that got moved last year to this summer. This summer, they obviously pushed it back too again for next summer for Europe. And then, but we are going to Mexico for one show with our new guitar player. It'll be our first show with our guitar player. It's an outdoor event called Circus Mexicus with Roger Klein and the Peacemakers out there. And so we'll be doing that June 10th and 11th. And then other than that, there's talks of October doing like a November going to Japan to do our Japan tour from last year. But again, we'll see how things go. And then after that, we're supposed to try and do a 3-week tour through the States on the West Coast, just to kind of dabble, put our toe back in the water and try and get back out there. But we'll see how things fly, man. Honestly, it's like everything's getting pushed and pushed. So I'm just kind of expecting that, but expecting the best at the same time.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed about you guys is, and I might be a little bit wrong on this, but I think I'm pretty right. You guys have actually gotten bigger in Japan than you have here over the last, 10 years. What is that? And you guys tour there all the time, or used to anyway. What is that like, being bigger in another country than you are at home?
It's insane, man. It really is. It's like, I mean, I'll never forget the first show we played in Japan. We had to fly from Phoenix to LA to San Francisco to Tokyo, and then catch two-hour drive to our show. And so we flew from LA to San Francisco. When we got to San Francisco, we started trafficking for like an hour. And then we looked at the time. We're like, is that the right time? Or are we like behind or something right now? So our flight for Japan was leaving in about 35 minutes or 40 minutes or something crazy. So we landed, and we're like full on, like I'm videotaping. This is like back, I was like videotaping everything, trying to document everything. And as like a full on like Home Alone movie moment, we ran up to the Japanese gates, and they were seriously like closing the gates. Our plane's like right there. And like, sorry, we can't let you on. We gave your seats away. We're like, no, fuck that. We're going to Japan. We have a show to play tomorrow, yesterday, or the next day, whatever it is, like actually, and it was a no-go. So we had to go get a hotel that night, get up at like 4 a.m., go to the airport, be the first ones in line to try and get tickets. Got tickets, got the first plane out, got there, caught the car. The show was already going on. It was less than Jake, I could say. It was like 1,500 cap room or something, packed, sold out. And Less Than Jake was cool enough to take our spot and let us headline. That way we could actually still play the show. And so that was fucking weird because the kids were there for Less Than Jake. And so then we get up there, first time playing there, they got all the Less Than Jake's got the little cue cards out with Japanese on them to try and, make jokes and stuff. And we're just exhausted and clueless and half hungover. And so we played our show for like 30 minutes, and it was cool. That being said, from that point on, it is cool that we've got to go back and back and back. We've had a great support team out there, and they've been over the top with us, being helpful. And it's just crazy, man. It is crazy to see that it's harder to play here and get bigger shows here in town, in our home state, our hometown, USA, than it is to go to Japan, or even, we get a lot of catch-up work in Europe. for the past like 8 or 9 years, because we kind of missed that boat with the punk rock scene in the early or the late '90s kind of punk, just after that cusp, So our label wasn't putting us out in Europe; they just wanted us to tour the States at the time, so we kind of missed those windows. So we've been playing the game of catch up for the last 9 to 10 years, and it's been paying off.
Yeah, and it's not just you guys either. It's the majority of rock bands in general, with the exception of a very small few that are bigger across the pond than they are here. Because I mean, being realistic, I mean, hip hop and rap and pop dominate the States. I mean, there's just no two ways around it.
Oh yeah.
But you jump over if you hit Europe or England and with Download Fest or Rock Am Ring or Hellfest in Spain, and hundreds of thousands of people show up to these things, and at Rock on the Range, you're lucky to get 50,000.
Yeah, no, it's very true, man. We noticed that too. And I mean, I always wonder why all the the punk rock bands just mostly played in Europe, and I kind of get it now. I mean, nothing against the States and the people coming out, because people do show up, but they fucking show up out there, and it's like the late '90s again or something, early 2000s.
Yeah.
People really care about that rock music. They really enjoy them rocking, getting down and getting fucking nuts.
And I can only imagine, because I've never experienced this myself, but being in another country where English is not their primary language, playing a song, and then having all these people that speak another language primarily sing your song back to you in English. That's got to be a rush.
Yeah, and you wrote it in your garage. You're like, the fuck is going on right now? It's like you think about writing some lyrics in your office or something, and all of a sudden, like you say, you're in Spain at Resurrection Fest, and Megadeth's playing next on the stage next to you, and there's like I said, 150,000 people out there singing your shit, and you're like, how do you know this and Megadeth? It's just it's so eclectic. It's great. It's fucking beautiful, man.
It really is, and I'm personally one of the ones that, I mean, obviously I'm one of many, but that just can't wait to see live music again. 2019 I went to 10 different shows. 2020 none. Obviously none this year either. And it was something that everybody took for granted. Doesn't matter if it was that going to see that matinee on a Sunday afternoon with your family to go see a movie, or going to see a big concert. We took that for granted, and I think going forward, at least for the next 10 years, after everything is normal again, I don't know if we'll ever get back to normal, but you know what I mean. I think the shows, from everything from ballet to movies to concerts to comedy, are going to have the most passionate fans there, just taking it all in.
Yep. No, I had a talk with my dad about that the other day too. We went to lunch, and that came up as far as like the possibility of shows this year. And he's like, yeah, same thing. He said exactly almost the same thing. He's like, but those people that do show up, they're going to be super intense and super, super grateful that it's happening and living really actually in that moment, not just hanging out with their buddies there. They're going to be paying attention and having a good time.
Yeah. And I'm anxiously looking forward to that, because, the camaraderie, at least in the rock community, when I go to a show, is second to none. Every color, every race, every age, every creed, it's just amazing. And it's just a brotherhood. And I love it. It really, really fucking is. And I just can't wait to get back to that and see, people like you and the bands that I also follow, which I can't even name all of them anymore, get back to doing what they do best. And that's playing in front of a crowd. Yeah, you guys obviously play your best inside of a studio because it's produced that way. But you play your best in front of a live crowd. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all performers, man. It's like that energy of back and forth with the audience and ourselves, on the stage and off. It is a camaraderie, like you said. It's huge. It's literally life. It's literally life. And now it's at a standstill. Life's on a different track right now, but I really can't wait myself either to get back to doing all this again.
Yeah, I mean, and the moment I hear you guys touring again and you guys are out this way on the East Coast, I will be there with bells on.
My man.
Because I saw you guys back in 2003, I believe it was. and that was the last time I saw you guys perform. So it's like, okay, it's been a while. I need to, yeah,
I know, right?
I need to get down.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, it'll be 22 years, almost 21 years. I think 22 by the time we're able to get back out there and really do it.
I know, right? So that's crazy for me, and you know, again, to, and that's the way with a lot of the bands I've seen, because I mean, I kind of got into a hard metal phase, but over the last year that I've been working with all these other bands and talking to all these other bands, I've rediscovered my love for punk and, you know, for ska and for this and for big band and this, all the stuff that I forgot about. And it's like, okay, metal and hardcore and all this stuff, okay, that's there too, but there's all this other stuff that I forgot about, and now it's just reinvigorated my love for the music, and I just can't wait to get back out there.
Yeah, me too, man. That's cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of the
it's coming.
200,
Hope it's coming.
yeah, I hope it's coming too, because of the 200 shows I've done on this show, I've had probably more than 100 bands and artists on the show, and it's insane, you know, just the stuff that I forgot about, and I just can't wait to see it again. And I wish you and the guys nothing but the best, and I hope things really start to pick up this year with the everything that's been going on, and I just really hope you guys just kick some fucking ass, and this new album is everything you guys hope it's going to be and more for you guys.
I appreciate that, Derek. Thanks a lot, man.
Jason, you're an amazing dude, and I'm very, very thankful that you came on the show today.
Yeah, I'm thankful for having you, dude. Thanks a lot. And take care, everybody out there. We'll see you on the road if possible anytime soon.
Absolutely. But as far as the rest of you guys go, thank you so much for being here. We will talk at you later. Have a great rest of your fucking night. Stay happy, stay healthy, and as always, stay fucking heavy. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.